that bio weird.
Hi, honey.
What's up, beautiful?
Beautiful. I felt like you were going to say something else there.
Yeah, I don't know. A few things were coming out of my mouth at once, and it just all came out as beautiful.
Hi, honey.
Could have come out as something far worse.
I could have. I guess beautiful. I'll take beautiful.
You do look beautiful tonight.
Aw, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm a little, it's been a long week up to this point. Long week, good week. It's been an interesting day as well.
Yeah, we have a lot to
Quite a bit
dive
to get
into.
to. Yeah. But no, I'm definitely doing just fine.
Okay.
I know the last couple episodes I started, I'm like, everything's fucking awesome, everything's fucking perfect. It's still perfect, it's still awesome. I'm just
Or it just is. That's
yeah.
like...
Yeah. You're big on just being like, it is. I know,
Yeah,
I get
Jared
it.
loves his labels.
I get it. I'm not saying what everything is. I'm just saying, like, how I feel.
Okay.
Right now, I don't feel as much energy simply because, like, again, it's been a long 5 days. I feel I'm fine. I'm great. Everything's awesome. But we'll get into it.
Everything is awesome.
I was traveling.
We'll get into that too.
To a polarizing place. We've been going nonstop, and now it's 8:00 at night on Wednesday, and we're about to do this, and I have a lot to say. I think.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm doing, and the only reason I'm even telling you that is because it would be inauthentic for me to say otherwise. So everything's everything's actually good. I'm not even overreacting. I'm just like a little tired. I'm just a little tired.
Okay. All right. Well,
Which I hate to even admit. I hate admitting that, but I will if it's true.
I know. That makes you like a little bit human, being tired.
Well, maybe I'm a little bit human. just a little bit, though.
Well, I think we had a great start to the week. On Monday,
Yes, we did.
we officially launched Supernova.
Yes, we did. It's been launched sort of, I guess, but we've never really officially done true promotion for it and anything really meaningful aside from just announcing it here and telling friends and family, I guess. So now we put our first post on Instagram. We got a lot of really good reaction from it, and now it's just a matter of continuing to put out content. Which again, we started this week, which is another cool update that we'll get into. But it's just a matter of continuing to put out content and wait till we have our first real full paying client or clients, I guess it would be by default. Which again, Supernova Couples Synergy Coaching is our coaching business where we coach couples 2-on-2. On what we call power, passion, and purpose, power being their individual physical and mental health. So making sure that they're physically fit, that they have a workout plan, that they have the right diet, that they're doing proper mindfulness exercises, meditation, gratitude, journaling, introspection. This way they're bringing their ultimate optimal power into the relationship, because you can only the relationship can only be as strong as the individuals in it. And if both people are fully optimized in their full power, then that's going to make for a far stronger, more energized relationship. More powerful relationship, of course. Passion is the second component, which is helping them build collaboration, communication, cohesion, getting them to work together more synergistically, eliminating conflict and friction in the process. How do they best work together? How do they better communicate, criticize, coach, provide constructive criticism, support, and encourage throughout that process? You're building a stronger bond. And then once you're channeling that individual energy and you're mashing it together with your partner and you're just brimming or bubbling over with all this extra power and passion, bursting at the seams with power and passion, you're going to want to grow. You're not going to there's no other choice but to grow from there. And the third part is purpose, which is taking all of that and channeling it in a singular direction toward a shared purpose, a shared vision for their future. That could be a business, that could be kids, that could be a a hobby, that could be really anything that the couple wants for themselves and for their future, and it's making sure that they're fully aligned on that vision, that there's no gap. I've talked about this countless times, but that there's no gap between what the two partners want, because a little bit of a gap in the vision today will be a massive football field of gap down the line, which becomes harder to bridge.
Yeah, how do you find your way back if you're that far away, like for so long?
So it's helping them identify and understand exactly what that vision looks like, and work through any conflict that there might be in terms of like where there's a gap in that vision, and then taking the step-by-step action to make that a reality. So I guess really, I just channeled that. That was not prepared. I'm used to talking about it now. That felt good.
Yeah.
And that is like officially happening. So I'm not in a rush for us to get our first client. I want our first client, but I know that I want the right first client.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll be waiting for somebody to knock on the door. And I don't think it'll take all that long, but I'm not in a rush. It's going to happen soon enough.
It was like really amazing on Monday to put that reel out, and I saw it and I was just like, oh my gosh, like it's happening. Like it just is it felt very right. It didn't feel like everything was in place. And what's the best part of it, the whole thing, is obviously like seeing it all come to material and being there to offer to people, but then putting like, here's the website, here's a whole explanation of like what we have to offer, what's our story, what the people can expect, and like it's just all built out. It's not just like, oh, we're couples coaches, like call us and we'll help you figure something out. Like no, like we have a very detailed program of like how we're gonna actually be able to help you. And it's just really cool to see it like out there.
Go to supernovacouples.com. I'm actually going to insert the reel that we posted right here.
What'd you think of that reel?
Yeah, what'd you think of it? I think it probably won't really make a lot of sense if you're listening to it on Spotify. It's pretty much visual, but
yeah, true. Some reason to watch it on YouTube.
There you go. Or follow us on Instagram at Supernova Couples, at ATXPoozle. Why don't you spell that?
ATXPOOHZLE.
And I am at Marcus, MARCUS _Gorillus, GORILLUS. And I believe
but his name's Jared.
Even though my name is Jared Curcio, she could also just search Jared Curcio with 2 R's, JARRED CURCIO.
And you will be able to find him because thank you, Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, I don't know because I think I'm shadow banned because when you type my stuff in, you have to
used
type,
to be.
No, I think I still am. I was
really?
When I was away this weekend, I was putting my info into people's phones, and it's still you have to type in the entire thing in order to actually find it.
Interesting.
It's a little concerning.
For sure.
Considering the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is the fact that we're getting our content out. We officially, this week, and really like today, no, wait, did we post something yesterday?
One of the reels, the podcast reel we posted yesterday.
Yeah, okay. So today really, aside from the Supernova post on Monday, today was our first official day like getting all that content out. If you've been following along with the podcast, for months we've been building out the whole business, but the content plan is a huge factor there because it's an immense amount of time. It's an immense amount of energy. It takes a lot of resources. It takes, to shoot this stuff, it takes both of us need to be available. So there's only so much that I can do on my own.
Yep.
And it's something that I was really adamant about doing consistently, regularly, day in and day out over time. And that takes planning. Otherwise, you just go for it. You don't have a plan.
You're winging
you do it
it
in big bursts, and then you can't really keep that momentum and maintain the consistency. And I'm not about that. So that is what we've been building out for quite a while. And as of today, we officially released some stuff. One was a reel, which again, like this is normal. We've been putting out the podcast reels, but the one is the podcast reel from last episode saying that I'm going to the inauguration. We'll get to that because I am fresh off the plane from the inauguration, which is an incredible experience. So stay tuned for that update. And then you posted a cool photo of you pushing a sled.
From on it, yeah.
And then I posted the first of what I'm calling like a talk to camera reel, where we set it up right over here where our nano leaf is, right behind me, right behind Poozle, and like did it like a studio setup with these more professional lights that we have, made it seem like, you know, I'm being interviewed. So, you know, peeking behind the curtain, I wasn't actually being interviewed. I had a script. If you can't tell, I still have to get my acting down in terms of like.
We both do.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so uncomfortable in it.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna get better.
I'll get better.
I was never a theater kid. It's something that like you just get used to.
Yeah.
I think I did a pretty good job with it, like all things considered, it being my first time.
For sure.
We set up our chair, the light, the camera over there. I have like a general outline of what I wanted to say. I'm saying it to the camera, like basically as if I'm being interviewed. Again, I'm not. But it's like, it looks better on camera doing it that way than me just like looking at the camera and talking. And
it seems like also less intense. Like it seems like more personal versus like holding the camera and like talking like right into it. I feel like that's like, it comes off to me. I don't like necessarily enjoy that.
I like
the interview style.
I think it depends on like what you're saying. And like if it's something that's truly like in the moment, I think it makes sense to talk to camera. I think that if it's something where it's like a lot of it is us telling our story. I'm telling a lot about like my weight loss journey, my bodybuilding story, like my you know, even like career to some extent. You're talking a lot about your like personal you know, health story. And I think if it's something prepared like that, it makes more sense for it to be a little bit more scripted and professional. If it's something where you had like this random like thought that you think is like important to share, something just happened, I think like doing it real time like that way makes sense. But it'll come with time, and like I feel like I did a good job in them. I think that of course probably comes across like maybe a little bit forced, but again, it's like it's my first time doing it. I'm so beyond like caring about like we're going to talk about like what people do think about some of the content I've been putting out, especially this week. And like if I care about that, like I'll never make it like the way that I want to make it. Like I have to go through that hard shit and look kind of silly and be a little bit cringe.
And learn from it too. And you're like, oh, okay, I don't like when I say like act this way, or I have to like now when I'm redoing it or doing something else, just be very mindful and conscious of like how it's coming off. I don't like how I constantly do that with my hand, or I don't like, but my eyes are looking over there, or I don't like how I keep kind of leading with this word. Like, there's a lot of different things that will adjust over time, but for the time being, like I'm having fun with it. I really don't care. I think they're really well done. The gym one looks great, or gym ones. There's multiple gym ones. Yeah, those are gonna come out soon. But one of the things that we were just talking about, which actually like relieves so much pressure from our plate. Your plate. My plate. I guess. Well, no, from both of our plates. It relieves more for me because I spend more time on all of this stuff, but it's still going to relieve a lot of pressure from you. Yeah. Is two things. Number one, we were going to put, and without getting into too much detail, I've like, we have me, we have you, we have Supernova, we have True Fitness and Focus, and we have the Genius at Work podcast, which you're currently watching right now. Please like and subscribe and comment and engage and follow on Instagram and everything else. If you haven't already, I beg of you, please, I've been asking, and I'm going to keep asking. You will receive, right? Yeah, exactly. So we have all those accounts, and a lot of the plan was how much will we have to do.
how many posts we have to do a day for those different accounts, the cross promotion, the collaboration, like how much is too much.
A lot of us.
Yeah, how much is too much, how much is not enough. And a lot of the stress up to this point came from the fact where it's like, man, first we're like, we'll put a month out at a time. And then we were like, a month at a time is a ton of work. If we do it the way that we were intending to do it, which was like even more than what we did today, by the way. We were planning on doing like 3 a day because that's what we had like read somewhere. It was like 3 a day. And then we took that down to more like 2 and took it from a month to about a month and a half, 6 weeks worth of content. So we basically just took what we took and spread it out. And today, based on that month and a half plan, we had 3 posts today, the 3 that we just mentioned, and it already felt like too much. Like I was immediately like, wait, why are we posting so much? Like this feels not right.
Yeah.
And this is where I have to disregard what I'm hearing elsewhere, from what like these consultants would say, or not necessarily a consultant, but there's a lot of like coaching programs and like coaching business programs and influencers and all these people that are telling you got to post a ton, just keep posting, post 3 times a day and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, no, like immediately today, I'm like, that feels like too much.
Yeah, it just didn't feel right. And I was like, oh, like I posted, or you posted the reel for the podcast, then I posted mine, and then I see you posted like your own, and I was like, whoa, like this is like, and I didn't realize you were posting one for yourself today. And I was like, oh shit, this is like a lot, for sure.
I think that in general, you definitely shouldn't see either of us more than twice a day.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably pushing it. So I think on average, you're going to see us each 1.5 times per day, roughly.
Well, because also the gym ones, like the ones that you're like doing, you're talking about the workout or what, like, you know, back day or something like that. Like you're using me as the model.
Yeah.
So people are seeing me like in your videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it is.
I'll just tag you in those. Like originally I
think you were like overcomplicating it.
I was overcomplicating it because I was trying to put an amalgam of all the things that like I felt like I was hearing plus what made sense together. And I wanted to just make sure that I had left no stone unturned. And that's why I overcomplicated it. I definitely did. I think after today and the little chat that we just had on the walk, I feel like we could absolutely cut that down considerably. That month's worth of content will probably be about 2 months worth of content at least, maybe a little bit more. Plus, we'll be shooting a lot of stuff just like in real time that isn't like as produced as the stuff that we're talking about right now. So it could be even as much as like almost 3 months.
Yeah. And still have stuff to post like on the weekends, which we typically don't do now. Like post-wise, not stories.
I think that it'll probably be closer to 2. And we just had this conversation. This is happening in real time.
Yeah, this is a walk conversation.
You're hearing us have this discussion right now, and I'll end it probably here. But I think what we'll do is like we'll have a lot of our produced stuff and anything that's like genuinely like business focused coming out regularly, like one thing from you a day, one thing from me a day. If it's a collab, it counts as that. And then if there's like a life, like what we call like a lifestyle thing, which is like just like a day in the life, sort of a cool picture of us like out and about, or we went to like a cool event, or I went to the presidential inauguration, for example.
Gosh, you're teasing it so much.
Something like that would just go on top of it. So it's not like you're hearing me like yap at you twice or 3 times in a day. It's like maybe you see a picture of me like doing something that I just did like that day or yesterday, and then you get a like more like official workout post or mindfulness post or quote or something. So neither here nor there. I'm just literally yapping away as I'm thinking about it right now. So you're listening to like that actually go down right now in real time as we're considering it. So,
and who knows? Maybe in a month we'll fucking change our mind again. Be like, we got to go back to 3 times a day.
We might. It's really going to come down to like how we
what's going on,
right? Because like today really did feel like a lot.
Yeah.
But I think one of the reasons it felt like a lot. Do we have anything else to say about that?
I don't think so. I feel like we went into more about that than I was expecting. So
I think one of the reasons it felt like a lot was because over the last couple days, I was at the presidential inauguration of the 45th and 47th President, Donald J. Trump.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
I'll explain why. Everywhere that we were all weekend, that is how he was introduced, which is is obviously very unique. He's only the second president with 2 non-consecutive terms. And
who's the other one?
It was Grover Cleveland, maybe? I think it might be Grover Cleveland. Alexa,
all right, you keep talking and I'm going to... Oh.
Who is the president with 2 non-consecutive terms?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Of course she doesn't. Of course she doesn't. You keep talking, I'm going to look it up.
Okay, I think it's Grover Cleveland. Okay, so...
Sorry.
But it's also like being introduced as such is like such a kick in the balls to like his opponents, where it's like, yeah, like you thought I was down and I came back.
Stephen Grover Cleveland.
His name is Stephen Grover Cleveland. All right. Well, Grover Cleveland was maybe the 19th and 21st or something, or 20th and 22nd?
22nd and 24th.
22nd and 24th. Okay.
Look at
Close.
you.
It's pretty close. So
genius.
That's not genius. Knowing stuff like that is like.
I know it's
genius.
not.
What do you mean?
That's a whole other thing. That's all about that's a total different conversation.
Genius is very different from knowing like what.
Then facts.
Yeah. It's just like such a slap in the face to his opponents, where it's like, you thought I was down 45th.
But
lost
I give you all a chance.
Yeah, like it's basically like a comeback story. Like by announcing it that way, it like tells a story just by announcing him that way, the 45th and 47th president of the United States. But
well, I guess like
what was I going to start? I don't even know.
Were you always a Trumper?
No, so I mentioned last time, and I should just do a quick recap of that. I was not I never disliked Donald Trump. I was never like a Trump hater, like whatsoever. I was just like, yeah, he's the billionaire, like kind of like loudmouth guy from New York and from The Apprentice and from Home Alone 2, and like he was always on like, talk shows or whatever and all that stuff. The same way that most people thought about him.
Yeah.
Probably kind of a douchebag, probably kind of cool at the same time, and I remember like people hating on him so much during that first election, and I was like, it feels like, again, like it's not like uncommon news. Like he was on the View, like right before he was elected president, basically, like about a year or two before he was elected president. They're like fawning over him, like
they're like best friends. They're all New Yorkers.
They're all besties. Yeah, they're all besties. They've been to the same parties together. They know all the same people. They're hanging out. They love each other. It was never like people hated on him. Sometimes he was like the butt of a joke because of his hair or because of you're fired or whatever.
Yeah.
But nobody was ever like he's a demon or like he's a Nazi or anything like that. So I always just was like, why are they like all of a sudden hating on him? That seems strange. And at that point, I was really like so out of politics. I said there was no way I was going to vote for Hillary Clinton because of I'm not going to get involved, like the Clinton crime family. I'm just like an anti-establishment guy to begin with. Don't have to get into all the details there. If you haven't figured out that I'm probably something of a conspiracy theorist, if you listen to this podcast, you're not reading between the lines or paying much attention, I guess.
Not at all.
But I will not vote for the Clintons whatsoever. They're like definitely evil, like demonic people. And I was like, I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump because I didn't even think that he was serious about becoming president.
Like, yeah, for sure he didn't seem like serious at all, and he was always like threatening that he was going to run like back even like in 2012. Wasn't there was conversation then like so I was like, oh, is this real? Yeah. And then you get to like the debates and you're like, oh, this is real, like when he's going after like all the other Republican candidates and stuff.
And you gotta love that, like those debates,
awesome.
like if you watch those debates, it's unbelievable to watch how he was just eviscerating people by doing something so unnorthodox.
Yeah, and calling them out for basically taking the bribes and taking the money from the millionaires. He's like, yeah, you did it because like you did it with my friends. Yeah. Like that was awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Great.
It's super awesome. But at the same time, I'm still thinking that he's just like a fly in the ointment. Like, I'm not thinking that he's really a guy who's going to like get anything done necessarily. So I did vote for Harambe in 2016, which I'm still like to this day, like I'm not ashamed of. Like I obviously like did not mean it seriously. That's kind of the point, is like I was taking the whole thing as a joke.
Yeah, I don't think I voted in 2016.
I don't think you did either.
Yeah, I don't think I voted in 2016.
Maybe, I think I was like one of the only people I know, like at least, I feel like at the time, like I didn't know very many people that were voting in that election. I feel like a lot of people were like kind of fed up. And like maybe joke's on me because like, I don't know, well maybe not. I don't, because he ended up winning. But like, I was definitely just like listening to the news to some extent where I'm like, oh, he's not a serious candidate. But I was also like, but I don't think he's the devil that you guys are making him out to be. And then when he won and he beat Hillary Clinton, I was like, I just thought it was like funny and like there's a glitch in the matrix.
Yes,
and,
for sure.
I was kind of like somewhat excited about it and happy just because like it was kind of funny to see like the system that I was making a joke of get thrown into such turmoil. I just assumed that Clinton was going to win, like everybody did, including Donald Trump thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. Everybody did. And then he won and it was like, oh, all right, that's kind of fun, like cool. And
mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, mix things up a bit. Then he had an outstanding, like a really great presidency.
Yeah.
Was it tumultuous? Yes.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what you have to do to get things done first and foremost. Also, it was tumultuous in large part because like the media couldn't give him credit about anything.
Yeah. Everything was a headline of like what was happening, who he's firing, what he said, the speeches he was giving, and everything was obviously a negative spin.
Yeah.
So like, of course it's going to be tumultuous.
Yeah.
Like we had friends that were like, I can't even put on the news. He just gives like, he's always doing this and he's doing that. He's so tumultuous for the nation and he's awful president. I'm like, why are you watching the news to begin with? Like, that's your problem. Yeah, if you're not allowing the news to affect you.
You're tumultuous because you're letting the news dictate your emotions.
Yeah, like.
But, and throughout that entire first term, and I want to say, this is not a political podcast.
Yeah, this is
not going to become a political podcast whatsoever. This is a political episode because the podcast is about what's happening in our life.
And this is a big deal.
And I went to the inauguration.
Yeah.
The fact that Trump has come into power in some ways is parallels in many ways certain themes in this podcast.
Like what?
We can get to that, I think.
Okay.
We'll get to that towards the end. Authenticity probably being number one. Mm-hmm. And like how important the power of like authenticity is, which is one of the reasons why when he won that time, it was kind of like, oh wow, like this is fun. And then this time, to me, felt more joyous to me than I expected to feel.
And it felt more serious.
Far more serious.
Like people were like, enough.
Yeah.
Like, we're over
serious.
this. And again, I said this last episode, like the majority said like, enough. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. That's what this is. And like, it's serious.
Yeah.
People are wanting the change. They're wanting a massive change.
Yeah.
And that's what they're getting with him.
Yeah. So
because they couldn't figure it out on with anybody else. So this is what you get.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said, honestly.
Yeah.
This is what you said. This is what you get. Yeah, like this is what you get. Yeah. So I've mentioned this only like a couple other times. Like I mentioned it. We recorded a podcast immediately after he got shot, which like I did like 5-10 minutes on that. It wasn't even very much.
Yeah.
Then I mentioned last week I did like a few minutes on the fact that I'm going, and I kind of like told a shorter version of this, I guess. And now we're talking about this, but I'm only talking about it because it's relevant right now. Yeah. This is not a political podcast. I just want to make that clear. So like, don't think that that's where like this whole thing is going. So where was I?
So I guess that's your story of like why you're supporting Trump.
Well,
right? Is there anything else you want to add to
that? A little bit,
that?
because I should just mention again, like to speed things up and get from to the end of this part of the story, it's like that term, I started to like gain a lot more favor for him, where I'm like, he's doing an awesome job. COVID hits. That was like, I'm not going to get into like my beliefs on COVID all that much, except for the fact to say that like, of course it's like, it was overblown. Of course we had like vaccines rammed down our throats. Of course the news was lying to us, or at the very least exaggerating.
Of course Fauci was pardoned.
Yeah.
Why would you be pardoned if you're not guilty?
I said this isn't a political podcast, but
okay, sorry. Let me pull it back in.
You're getting like more political and
you know I do.
I know. And
I get more heated about it.
I know.
But I'm gonna keep it.
But like, I saw all of that. I saw how we were being lied to about that, and so manipulated by that. And I'd already seen stuff like that previously and started to recognize it. But I still was like, I just didn't. It didn't have the tipping point for me yet. And then COVID was that tipping point. And then in 2020, I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to vote for this guy. He's done a great job up to this point. And like, you're telling me that he's terrible, and the same people that are telling me that he's awful are the same people that are like ramming this like narrative about COVID down my throat, which I don't believe, because I can see with my own eyes and ears and vibes that like it isn't actually like what you're telling me this all is. And anybody that says otherwise is like a nutcase, the same way that anybody that votes for Trump is a nutcase. The same way that there's like all these other things that you're just not allowed to say or even acknowledge or even like question. And I'm starting to go like, okay, so the things that you're not allowed to question are the things that you should absolutely definitively be questioning. The things that you're not allowed to support are the things that you probably should like look into and like maybe learn a little bit more about. And I did vote for Trump in 2020. Whatever happened there, happened there. And
Is that the steal? I'm just kidding.
I do think I'll just at this point I might as well admit, like, yeah, I believe that like the 2020 election was probably like, I believe that there's no way that Joseph Biden received the most votes of any
Where were
president
you on
in
January
history.
6, 2021?
I was nowhere near the Capitol. I was at our home on Holly Street. I remember.
Holly?
Yeah, because I remember watching it on TV there. Yeah.
Oh my God. Damn.
I remember watching the insurrectionists. But I do believe that was most likely a stolen election.
Okay, let's fast
At the very least, they hid the Hunter Biden laptop story. They put everything that they had. They sent every weapon against this guy they possibly could. They made him out to be the devil in the media, which basically manipulates everybody. So even if it wasn't like fake votes were cast or votes were pulled out of the of the ballot box, at the very least, there was a massive manipulation happening at a very high elite level to make sure that he was villainized. And I saw that happening, so I was happy to cast a vote for him in 2020. And then over the last 4 years, I again just sort of disappeared from a political perspective, except to see things and watch things occurring, like the wars that we're getting ourselves into, like the crazy disinformation campaign that happened during COVID, and cover-ups of all kinds of insane stories, not just with COVID, but with again Hunter Biden, for example, and the all the. I'm not gonna start rant, maybe because I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there's a lot of crazy manipulation and clear lies and clear deceit and clear strong arming that was happening, to the point where even Mark Zuckerberg said that the Biden administration was calling his offices screaming, saying that they can't have certain things, they can't allow for certain content. And I can't stand for that. I can't stand for that. So I was
not authentic.
Yeah. So even as exactly,
it should be a platform where someone can say whatever the fuck they want, and obviously not too discriminatory, not to actually hurt somebody, but have a different opinion, and that's okay.
But even a year ago, I still saw like, is Trump the one to get the job done for us? I've said, at the very least, Trump is a virus that if you just implant it into the machine that is the government, at least it's like the machine is already bad. It is a bad machine that is not doing what it was designed to do, which means it needs to like be replaced essentially. Yeah. So if the machine is not doing what you need it to do, and you're refusing to admit that it's broken, well, okay, what if we put like this clear virus into the system that now we have to admit that the machine is broken. That's the way like I saw Donald Trump, is like this virus in the machine. That's where I was like a year ago. And now, after the last 6 months, watching his momentum, watching the assassination attempt, which was clearly by the deep state. Like, let's be real. It wasn't a lone assassin. It was the deep state. Put that. Like,
we should do like a count on an episode of how many like conspiracy like a little ticker on the bottom.
So I like, and then just seeing like I said how nobody was willing to admit. That's another one thing, that nobody was willing to admit that Biden was losing it. And then all of a sudden he's at the debate, and then everybody immediately switches. That was a psyop.
That was
wild. All of a sudden, nobody is admitting that he's got dementia. Then they have,
he's okay to run the government 4 more years. He's got this.
And then they have a debate, and then everybody switches on him. Nobody was like,
in comes Kamala.
Yeah, and then you throw Kamala in, who was considered incompetent up to that point by everybody. And then she's like the one who gets everybody behind her from that side. And it's like, are we gonna actually let this happen? Is nobody seeing this? I'm thinking that I'm going crazy. And then they still have her up in the polls. Well, I mean, because like the polls are all fake. It's all fake. And none of it is real.
Yeah.
And so as we got closer and closer, I'm like, dude, I want this guy to win. I really want this guy to win so bad. Like, everything in me wanted him to win. So I was happy to vote for him. And the night of I'll say this, when in 2020, we went to a election party, I guess you could say, and like we watched TV at a friend's house, and there was mixed company there, I would say, as far as like political beliefs are concerned. And we left that party with Trump up. I went to bed on election night in 2020 with Trump ahead, and I woke up, and all of a sudden, like, all these votes came in where, like, Georgia, Georgia, and like one or two other states, I think. Yeah, I think it's the primary. And all of a sudden, like, the entire script is flipped. I'm like, that's weird. Yeah. Yeah, kind of weird. And then, and if somebody thinks that I'm like crazy for thinking this, like, I am clearly not alone. I'm with the majority of the American public at this point.
Again, it's opinions, people. Yeah. It's opinions. Get your own podcast if you want to have an opinion.
Yeah. So, and I after like some of the stuff today, like, I feel like I'm not defending myself or justifying it. I am explaining why I went to this inauguration.
Yeah. So why did you go?
Deal. I went because that night, again, knowing that last time I went to bed and then woke up and the story was totally changed. That whole night I was like, is this actually going to happen? Yeah. Like, it feels like he's actually going to do it. And then, like, and there was so much good momentum leading up to that with, like, the Rogan appearance and even, like, him being on Theo Vaughn and some other things. The what?
You're at Theo Vaughn.
Theo Vaughn. And
Jersey
also
came out. And then, like, Vance was on,
Yeah.
Tim Dillon, he was on, what else was he on?
And I gained so much more. I didn't know anything about J.D. Vance, really. I'm like, this guy's amazing. This guy's awesome. Sure. So that night, we were, like, sitting here at, like, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Because we were with our buddy Jay and his wife Meg, and then we came back here, and I still, like, couldn't keep my eyes off the TV.
We're like, we can't go to sleep.
And I think I was sitting right here when I was like, I kind of want to go to the inauguration. I kind of said it offhand. Yeah. Not really thinking much about it, and like half serious about like even like making an effort to. And I didn't say I'm going to. I said like I think I want to go. Yeah. Fast forward like a couple days later, my very, very good friend who may or may not have rung my doorbell a couple episodes ago in the middle of an episode, and may or may not have been at January 6th. He didn't enter the Capitol.
He may have been around the Capitol.
He was near the Capitol on January 6th.
If anything, he was welcomed in, according to the people who are actually there. Yeah. Doors were open.
Okay. I know I keep saying stuff, and then but it's like the energy that you're bringing to it. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just as bad. I don't know. This isn't a political podcast.
I'm just doing it just to for the jabs at this point.
I know.
I'm like channeling my inner Tony Hinchcliffe.
We were on an ape walk with him around the neighborhood, going to get a coffee at Prana, and offhand, I said to him, dude, I really want to go to this inauguration. I feel like it'd be so much fun. And it's I was that week, I knew I was going to be happy if Trump won. Yeah. I was elated. I was actually elated. It felt like we had shifted timelines to a better universe. Yeah. I'm sorry if that's weird.
Again, I think it's also the fact that people are everything's aligning and people are aligning and people are even if you were kind of moderate, you probably voted for Trump because you're enough, move on.
I'll say this. You would think, especially with women's rights and the Roe v. Wade overturning, you would think that Trump would have lost most women, certainly younger women, and it feels and we know what he did with black voters and what he did with Hispanic voters. Yep. He had a huge turnout from them. It feels like young women would be a hard one to win over, and it seems like everybody that we know in that category were very, if maybe secretively, if not outspokenly for Trump, including a number of people who I would have never guessed. Yeah. Were at least I think I'm going to sit this one out. Yeah. For sure. A few that were I don't think I'm going to cast a vote in this one, which that to me was a leading indicator that maybe it was gonna happen. Yeah. But that's what made me so happy. It wasn't he just won the electoral vote. It wasn't that he squeaked by. He won in a landslide, electoral vote and popular vote, and House and Senate too. So I was man, everybody is smarter than I thought. Coming out of COVID,
it's a breath of fresh air of people are awake.
Yeah. And if you watch the mainstream media, the corporate media, the legacy media, you would think that Kamala was crushing it. And it turns out none of that was true. Not even a little bit. It was all fake. And it was basically the lights were the light was finally shown on how absurd and fake all of that is, and we got to see the truth. Yeah. And it just happens to be this really polarizing figure who's incredibly direct, very authentic in and of himself, and brash, brash guy. Yeah. And I feel it's perfect that I'm happy that that happened, and then second, the truth was brought to light. That's what's most important to me. And then a subset of that, and a secondarily to that, it's oh yeah, and this guy actually feels he's gonna do a good job for the country. Yeah. So reason number one why I wanted to go to the inauguration was because to me it was a event that demonstrated that truth will win. Authenticity will win every single time. Yep. And then a subset of that is oh, and by the way, his policies are definitely better than the other side, and he's not playing around anymore. He's gonna get in there and really fuck shit up and dismantle this system and this this horrific like abomination of a machine that is way more big, bloated than it should be, and is not doing what it was intended to do, which is serve the American people.
Yeah, serve and protect the American people.
Yep.
And not like, just let our country go to absolute shit.
Yep. So
it's
that
again
is
for
why
me,
I
it's
went.
a breath of fresh air. It's like there's a giant awakening. The veil has been lifted. People are seeing it. And to me, it's very refreshing. And again, if you have another opinion on it, then that's fine. But like for me, I see it as a positive that there's going to be change. They have to get better.
Yep.
Wars are ending. Hostages are released already.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I mean, don't we want that?
It's weird. Like it's almost, I'm usually pretty good at like seeing multiple sides and multiple perspectives. I'm at a point now where the other side of this argument, I really struggle to even understand like what you might be thinking. And it really all just stems back to like fear of change to some extent. And if you get, indoctrinated with enough like identity politics and I don't want to say like the woke mind virus, because I think most people aren't like woke necessarily, but I think they see wokeism as like a little extreme, but they would still like lean in that direction.
What do you have like?
How can I describe it? It's like, that like real like out there wokeism is extreme, but you're still afraid to like say something that might offend anybody.
Yeah.
Because like you're still maybe like that wokeism is extreme, but you still feel
and you
like
don't want to like
obligated to like
to play to it.
To play to it a little bit, I guess. Like I don't know how else to describe it.
If you don't play to it, then like you're racist or like you get them like thrown this label that like you're not that. It's just like
I don't know.
I'd rather not speak about it.
Because I can't wrap my mind around it. Like I'm not gonna speculate like what might be happening in those people's minds, but like I can't understand. I couldn't begin to understand it.
Yeah.
And there's probably people that are watching this show, and probably people that we know that are watching this show that voted for Kamala. And all I can say is like I'm not saying that like you're a bad person or that I'm not even necessarily saying that you're wrong, because I don't think there is necessarily like a true right and wrong. You have your reason why you did it.
Again, it's an opinion.
It is your opinion and you have your perspective. I truly just can't understand it. There's no part of me that can even put myself like enough over there in that camp to go, yes, she was a good candidate or a better candidate than Donald Trump, or that like what she was going to do was somehow like in any way beneficial to certainly not me, let alone like the rest of the country. Like I couldn't begin to like understand that. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna say?
I'm not gonna say anything.
So, man, oh my gosh, we are oh my, I can't.
We went off on Trumpy.
Okay, well.
So to the inauguration.
Whoa. Oh man, I can't believe.
Give us a vibe check on the inauguration.
Whoa, I can't believe how much time has gone.
I know.
I might have to edit this. I guess not though.
No,
I'll just keep
we've
going.
had 5 minutes of Joy drinking water in the background.
Okay,
so.
Sure. Anytime you see an edit on here, it's I will admit if it's an edit that has anything to do with like something that I said, I'll usually call it out.
Yeah.
But in most cases, it's because Joy is running around or drinking water or making noise or something.
Joy knows when we're sitting down and doing this.
So yeah, okay. Now I have to get into the inauguration. So. I went to the inauguration. I had an incredible time. I told my friend that I wanted to go. When I mentioned it again, I mentioned it offhand and like barely seriously, like maybe half serious. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going. You want to go?" I was like, "Yeah, like I would love to." Little did I know that it's not just we're going to the inauguration. I thought I was going to be sitting out in the national lawn or the national mall,
in front of the
in front of the Capitol building and in front of like the Lincoln Memorial or whatever. And no, not the Capitol.
I thought it was in front of the Washington Monument.
No, it's in front of the Capitol building and then the Washington Monument and then the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought I was going to be out in front of the Capitol building on the lawn, like standing with, 100,000 other people or something, and like watching it from like a mile away. But it turns out that my buddies got a friend who is in the Trump administration, works for Donald Trump. He's what's called an advance man, where he goes somewhere that Trump's going to be like a week out, and like not for security purposes, but for logistics purposes, maps out like
where
the
they
space,
would stay, or
where you're going to go, like where the steps that he's walking down to get from here to there to this place. How long are you going to wait here while this person's up there, and then we send you out.
What's it? Advance guy?
They're advance man or something like that.
Man. That's cool.
Because you're going out in advance of Donald Trump, or the president.
Yeah.
So we got like actual joint congressional committee, like the joint congressional committee for inaugurations. We got those tickets to the inauguration and tickets to the Liberty Ball afterwards, where there's like 3 balls that the president goes to the night of the inauguration. One is for military, one is like the big like rager party, and then one is apparently like a stuffy like top 1% of donors.
Which one were you at?
I was at the rager one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome. So I'll give the short version. I thought that I was going to have to like kill time, so I was going to plan on talking about everything, but we stayed in this beautiful bed and breakfast that is my buddy's parents' place. It's a gorgeous, like idyllic, rustic farmhouse out in the rolling hills of Virginia, about 30, 45 minutes maybe outside of DC. It was beautiful. So like we all stayed in like a room, and it's also a wedding venue too. So you can imagine how like pretty this is. Snow had just fallen. We were driving from the airport through the snow with my friend driving, and his driving is like a little scary.
God.
So my driving is scary, and his driving is as scary as mine. And driving through snow was not. It was a little alarming. There was 6 of us in the car, so there was 4 of us in the back, like crammed together, like
and like big boys.
No. His little brother was one of them. He's not all that big, but still, 4 people in the back of a pickup truck was a lot. Stayed there. His family is just wonderful, and they made us meals and this beautiful charcuterie board. Did you see that picture of that charcuterie board?
Yeah. I'm jealous.
This is the second episode in like the last 3 weeks where I mentioned like a charcuterie board, and I ate most of what was on both of them.
You grazed heavily.
I grazed like a motherfucker. So that was great. When we got there, we had to go and get our tickets and like passes to everything first. I should point out, we thought we were going to go to the inauguration. About 2 days beforehand, because it was going to be like frigidly cold, which it was like 4 degrees up in DC, they changed it to being inside the rotunda of the Capitol building.
Do you believe that?
No, it was for security. It was no doubt it was for security reasons.
Did you get advance man to tell you that, or was that?
We had enough people in the know that were like, it was definitely for security purposes.
Well, and you also said that like DC, like the streets were shut down and like there were Hummers blocking certain areas. So
DC is notorious for bad traffic. It's also the inauguration, and it was snowing and cold. And the day of the inauguration, we had zero issue getting right up to everything. But the day beforehand, and the entire downtown area was closed. So like the day beforehand, we got into town to go get our stuff, and the whole Capitol was basically closed off. Like no cars except for like the I guess like inauguration staff driving around. Hummers were blocking everything off. We were like just walking in the middle of the DC streets with like no care. And the vibe was like, first off, DC sucks. DC is gross. The vibe
like once.
The vibe of the city is like couldn't be more like bleak and blah, and yet it was gray and cold and snowing and
rat
icy.
infested.
Yeah, definitely rat infested. In more ways than one, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it's just like gross. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to get a cafe, get a coffee. So I was like, we'll find like a little cafe or a bistro or something. My friend was like, you're not gonna find a cafe. Like that Panera is like the only thing. That's the best coffee you're gonna find.
Which is, I guess, crazy. You would think that there'd be like coffee shops around with all the.
As we're walking, there were, and they were all like shuttered.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
So like just a shithole, but. The people walking around the street were all Trump people. They all had their MAGA hats on. There were people there like selling all bunch of like Trump merchandise and stuff.
And you didn't get me a souvenir.
I didn't get you a souvenir. I'm sorry. I didn't. I should have. We weren't like buying souvenirs though.
Give
I was
me a Trump
gifted.
bobblehead.
I was gifted.
Put on my desk at work.
I was gifted a bunch of souvenirs. That would go well.
It'd be fine.
You know, I guess with like half of
Half of
them, it'd be fine. Just over half, I guess, based on the popular vote. So yeah, like it was just like everybody was like seemingly joyous. I thought I was going to see protesters. I thought I was going to see.
Too. I was nervous about you going. I was like, oh my gosh, please, just be safe, be alert, be aware of everything around you.
I'll also say, leading up to it, I mentioned that I had to get a suit. Mm-hmm. I needed a new suit. It's been a long time. I used to wear a suit almost every day when I was, working in various law jobs during law school. Before that, when I worked in the court in Staten Island, even at NBC and a bunch of other jobs in the Northeast, like during college and that time in law school, I was like always in a suit and tie or at least a coat and tie. I never liked it. And as soon as I got out of that world, like I was like so happy to like never wear a tie again. But I wanted to like look sharp for this, and my old suits were like not worth wearing, so I got a fresh new one. We went to the mall to go get me an overcoat because it was going to be so cold. I bought, first off, fire ass Hugo Boss.
It looks so good.
So dope. This overcoat is beautiful, and then like a pretty fancy scarf to go with it, and a really nice Hugo Boss tie to go with it as well. And the coat was gonna be extra pricey, and I got it half off. It just happened to be on sale.
Post-winter sale.
I was gonna buy it for full price, and then she told me at the thing that it was half off, and I was like, "What a win!"
I know,
huge win.
That was awesome.
And it looked so good. And while we were out shopping, several people, it was kind of weird that they would like ask like where I was going, I guess.
Yeah, because like, well, the jacket did need to like, does need to be tailored. You need to like go and get it tailored. But you're like, oh, well, I need it like for tomorrow. I'm flying out tomorrow. And then that's when it came up.
That's
like
true.
the person working was like, oh, are you all going on vacation? Like, what do you need it for? And I was like, he's going to DC for the inauguration. I was like, so.
Yeah.
And then after that, we were just like throwing it around. Because I mean, at first you're kind of like, oh, do we just mention it?
Everybody that we mentioned it to was like, fuck yeah.
Oh,
everybody that we talked to up at the domain was like sick.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was all like rad, dude. Like it was nobody even like batted an eyelash like negatively. Everybody was like, that's fucking awesome.
And we had the people that we saw at the multiple stores said that they had seen people coming in before also coming in for a suit. Remember at the suit supply or whatever it was, there was the person, someone said they're like, oh yeah, we've had a few people come through they needed to get suits for this, for the inauguration.
Very cool. Well,
yeah.
I totally like lost my, I guess I was getting a suit. Was that the point? Was like
yeah, I think you were just, yeah. And just like, again, people being like energized about it.
Yeah. So the vibe there was good too. So we were supposed to be at the inauguration again. We were going to have seats. So we weren't going to be all the way back standing with everybody. We were going to be like up front with seats. I think there's like 1,000 seats or something. And we had like a group of about 15 or so. So we were planning on being there. When they moved it inside, that 1,000 got cut down to like 200, and it was only like the top 200 people.
Of course.
So all of like Trump supporters that weren't super close, they were all supposed to go to the Capital One Arena and kind of sit there, and then he was going to show up, which he did with his whole family and the whole like cabinet and everything. But we were kind of like, we don't want to like be sitting in an arena, like waiting for hours, like to watch Trump down there when we're going to the ball later.
Yeah.
So we actually all ended up going to a cigar bar, spent the whole day there, like drinking and eating steak and celebrating. I smoked 4 cigars in a row, which is a personal record.
You also did say, was it 4 or 5? Because you also said 5 the other day.
It was 5 if you counted. So within 12 hours.
Okay.
Oh no, within 24 hours I smoked 5 cigars, but it was 1 the night before.
Okay.
And then actually I may have smoked 2 the night before. So it was 6 cigars in 24 hours. 2 the night before at the fire pit, which was beautiful. And then 4 at the cigar bar while we were watching
in the course
Trump.
Of how many hours?
We were there for probably 5 hours or so, something like that. Maybe 6 hours.
You're like, my clothes smell like cigar. I'm like,
everything smells like cigar. I still smell like cigar.
Your nails smell like cigar.
Yeah. So we had a great time there. It was fun. Like people were kind of coming in off the streets and like having a good time. I'm telling you, like DC was like not where you would think it was.
Yeah.
You were nervous. Mm-hmm. You thought that I thought there was going to be protests. I certainly thought I was going to see protesters. I thought I might see some riots.
Yeah.
None of it. Nothing. Not even a little.
That's crazy, honestly. Yeah.
And even like but that goes to show like something different's happened here. They were showing on TV like a couple like people like picketing, like just like a handful, and they even went over to them and were trying to like get them riled up and like ask them questions, and they're just like, yeah, well, like there's a lot of people that they feel like unsafe with this like new administration, and I'm like, I get that. Okay, you're allowed to do that. Like you're allowed to picket and like feel that way. Of course. Sure, but like. There was no bricks being thrown through windows or fires being lit or anything like that. Yeah. So, and there hasn't been any really reported either.
No.
In 2016, it was a different story. People were like losing their shit. And like they said, like there was a lot of stuff like on fire and like all kinds of crazy shit. So, then we went to the ball, the Liberty Ball. You walk in, it's an entire convention center. Is that? Okay. Entire convention center. Pretty massive. Mm-hmm. This was no small thing. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, honestly. Yeah. I didn't really know. But, it's a big-ass room, and, like, top and walls are all these, like, glowing, like, stars. It looks like you're like floating in outer space because like everything is like black walls with like these twinkly stars, which was like really cool just to walk into. Food everywhere, like rows of like catered tables of like everything you could think of, all around the entire place, and then another like row of bars around the entire thing. And I'm talking like we're in a massive convention hall, huge. I think it holds like 20,000 people or something like that. So just food and drinks everywhere. They had a couple golf simulators over in the corner, so you can go and like hit a golf ball into like a screen and like play 18 holes over there if you wanted to. They had this big like white picket fence, like almost like outside like lawn kind of area with like a bunch of like patio furniture, and like I think they had like the national championship game playing in there too. So it was like kind of like this like yard sports bar area. They had like all kinds of arcade games and like Pop Shot and stuff. And they had against this entire like wall of the convention center, it said a year in the life of Donald Trump. And it was a bunch of photo booths for like everything over the last year. So there was like the Oval Office that you can go and like sit behind the desk. And it was like really like detailed high quality like photo booths. It wasn't like you're standing in front of like a screen or anything. It was like super like realistic. You can go do that. You can go stand at the podium in front of the Capitol. You could do Trump's mugshot. So you could stand there and like get your photo shot taken like Trump in his mugshot photo. And they had the McDonald's window. So you can go into the McDonald's window and like put your McDonald's apron on and like stand out there like handing somebody a Happy Meal like Trump did. There's a few other ones too. Those are the ones that I can remember. And then just a massive stage. that with the presidential seal on it. I had buddies, like all the guys there, a lot of them were single, and they wanted to go and drink and like chase chicks and stuff, which like I would have loved to like gone and wingman for them and like had fun and run around, because like everybody was dressed to the nines, tuxedos, evening gowns. All the women there were like beautiful. They're all like gorgeous, and these are all like, again, like pretty high level people. This is not, you can't pay to get into this event. This is like a pretty exclusive thing. And like it would have been fun to like go and mingle with these guys. Like it would have been, and like have a few drinks, but I basically had like one drink. I was there to see Trump. So we went up to the front of the stage. I basically was like front row. I said, I want to go to the inauguration because I want to be front row to the revolution. And I was literally like front row to the revolution, maybe like third row, third row. But I was right there. Billy Ray Cyrus came out. So there was a lot. So I saw a lot of celebrities, and we saw a lot of musical acts, including Billy Ray Cyrus came out when like he wasn't even on like the program for it. So he comes out. He looks like Rob Zombie. He doesn't look like Billy Ray Cyrus.
He wasn't supposed to be there?
I'm not saying he wasn't supposed to be there, but we didn't know that he was supposed to be there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So he comes out, and like it's immediate. There's thousands of people at this thing. It's a pretty big crowd actually, and they're all like up on the stage, and they're all waiting for Trump to come out. And obviously, like everybody's been like partying and celebrating all day, and Billy Ray Cyrus comes out, and everybody's just like. It's immediately like weird energy, weird vibes. He's clearly lip syncing, and he's like playing his guitar, but like it doesn't even look like he's playing his guitar. And then all of a sudden, like the music and like the screen kind of shut off, and it's like a waving American flag. And then he just like starts singing Old Town Road and like putting the mic out to the crowd. I put the story on my Instagram and putting like the mic out to the crowd. And his like guitar isn't working anymore. His mic is barely working. And eventually they just like cut all of his shit off, and they came and like tried to escort him off the stage. They sent like 3 or 4 guys out to like wrangle him and escort him off the stage. And he was just like wandering around. Like he couldn't be like tamed. He wasn't even like running away. He was barely even acknowledging these people. He was like fucked up.
He looked like, from the video, it looked like Johnny Depp from like Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's what somebody said. Somebody said he looks like Captain Jack Sparrow. I thought he looked like Rob Zombie. He was not looking good. I mean, I was right there up close. Like he looked kind of spooky. He looked scary. He did not look good well. He was definitely not in a good spot. So that was funny. And then Jason Aldean came out, and I realized like I know the name Jason Aldean. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what he looked like. I don't know a single Jason Aldean song. Yeah. There was the one that he sang at the end where it literally is like, "She's country." I've heard that before, but it also
sounds like a Chevy commercial.
I was gonna say I don't know if I've actually heard that song or if it just sounds like a Chevy commercial or something that I've like seen elsewhere, like, or it just sounds like every other country song. Yeah. But he was playing for like a while, and they even were like Billy Ray Cyrus like said, he's like, "They told me to kill a bunch of time out here because Trump's running late." And then Jason Aldean even said, like, "We're going to sing a few more songs because they told us to, like, that Trump's running a little bit behind." And then this other chick came out and sang the national anthem.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty.
You heard it?
On your Instagram.
Oh, you didn't hear much of it. This was like, she did like an extended version of the national anthem. I don't think I've ever heard like a voice like that in my entire life. It was truly like heavenly. I was taken aback. I stopped recording because I was like, wait, I have to listen to this. But that was like really, I really want to find out actually who that was, what her name was. And then sure enough, we've been waiting there. I was probably standing there for like multiple hours, like on my feet. My feet were hurting.
Your back was hurting.
Everything was hurting by the time Trump came out. Like we were standing there forever. I was with another like little like part of the group while they were all running around. They actually like never really got to see Trump because they were like so far back, like doing whatever they were doing that they didn't really have. I'm not sure if they didn't see him, but they saw him from like a while away. I was like right there. He came out. He danced with Melania. His whole family came out. JD Vance came out. They were right there. I was pretty stoked about it. I was really happy to have like been a part of it. They did like, it's a ball. Yeah. So like technically it's a ball, so it's like tradition. Even though it was really more of like a rager. It felt like a really fancy wedding.
Yeah.
And in fact, the whole weekend, I said, felt like we were at a bachelor party where like Trump was the bachelor, even though he wasn't with us, and like he was getting married to America or something like that. It's like kind of the way it felt the whole weekend. We're like smoking cigars. God. We have like one of the guys brought a bunch of like these red Save America scarves. Mm-hmm. One of the guys brought a bunch of American flag pins for our lapel pins for our suits. We're smoking cigars. We're like, I'm drinking tequila. We're eating steaks.
Just being a
we're
bunch
sitting
of dudes
around the fire. It like felt like a bachelor party. And to like be there and like,
Bachelors
so I guess
for
the
America.
fact that it was a wedding, similar to a wedding, which is something we were talking about yesterday. It felt really cool. And then like he gave a speech. I'm not going to go into all the details of it because we're running out of time here, but I'm happy that I went. I'm truly.
And then he danced.
Yeah. And then he walked off to the village people. How are we doing on our battery over there? Can you go check the battery?
Yeah.
While I'm doing that, I'll say he walked off
doing his dance.
to the village people playing YMCA, and he hit his Trump dance. Absolutely electric.
How can I see the battery? Because it's on. I can't see it on your phone.
That's fine.
It's like a timer.
When he started dancing live to the village people on his own inauguration day, hitting the ghost jerk off dance.
The double fisting.
Pure electricity.
I can't believe they got the village people.
Place erupted, and it let me know that America is back on track.
We're back.
God bless America. Let freedom ring. I had like so much to say about his speech and about even
I think
what he said during
politics.
the inauguration. Yeah, we did. So we're not going to get into all of that, but it was a truly like awesome thing to be a part of. I'm so happy I went. That I was invited in the first place.
Yeah, of course.
I thought that I was going to be a little bummed out that I didn't go to the actual inauguration, but like the ball was a lot more fun and a lot more of an experience, I think, than like being at the inauguration itself. It was the same one that like a bunch of celebrities were at, like Logan Paul, Jake Paul. I saw Amber Rose. I saw Lil Pump. I saw Rex Ryan, former coach of the Jets. I'm not sure where he is now. And on the way out, we saw Kid Rock, who was smoking like this this little like nub of a cigar that was like falling apart in his mouth in the hotel lobby.
Oh my God.
And he's like walking out, and he does not look good too. I don't know who looks worse, him or Billy Ray Cyrus. They both look terrible. Lil Pump looked better than both Billy Ray Cyrus and Kid Rock.
How did Amber Rose look?
She looked pretty good.
Yeah. Remember we saw her like in Vancouver?
Yeah, where did we see her?
In Vancouver, in the
that's
airport.
Right. Yes, I knew we had seen her before. No, we didn't see her in the airport. We saw her at the strip club.
And then we saw her at the airport.
But we didn't see her both places, though.
I don't remember seeing her
Wasn't
at the strip
she
club.
like the...
Wasn't
she headlining at the
She
strip
was
club?
headlining somewhere that we were supposed to go, and we ended up all at the strip club. I don't think she was at that strip club. There was talk of something happening with Amber Rose. But then we saw her in the airport. And I was like, is that her? And then sure enough, like the skull tattoo.
The strip club may have been the least grimy place in all of Vancouver, by the way. Vancouver sucks. You're right. We saw Amber Rose. I knew that I've seen her before. That's why it was weird. I was like, I know that's Amber Rose, and I know this isn't the first time I've seen her, but I couldn't remember where I saw her before.
And she also looks like one of my friends from work.
No, she looked good.
Yeah.
Melania and Ivanka are both like stunningly gorgeous.
Yeah.
Stunningly gorgeous. Ivanka especially is like stunningly gorgeous in person. And all of them look like they do on TV, except Trump is not nearly as orange. And his hair is a lot whiter. But here's what's funny. My videos, he came out more orange. Like in my video on my phone than he was in real life. In real life, he didn't look orange like at all.
Well, don't you remember like when Rogan had COVID and like CNN made him look like yellow?
Yeah, I know.
In his like video that he took like at home, like in his yard, and he's like,
Rogan, I think, was at the same ball as us, but I didn't see him. I don't know.
Yeah, there was
lot
there
of
was definitely a
people
group
there.
of them because I saw that like post.
But it was really cool. So, what else? I guess
I
gotta
guess
say?
like.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Do you have anything else to say about that?
Not
Because I
about
think we should
the
roll into like
inauguration.
kind of just like
Today,
the aftermath of it, kind of.
Again, like, I'm not.
And then time check, we're at like 1:18.
So, well, I can wrap this up hopefully in the next like 10.
Okay.
I'm not gloating about Trump winning. I'm really not. I'm not gloating about it. I'm not like certainly trying to like rub it in anybody's face or make anybody who is like going to vote for the other side like necessarily like feel uncomfortable or anything like that. I'm just proud that Truth won, and I'm proud that my guy won. And by my guy, I don't mean like he's my guy, like Trump's my guy. I mean like I'm proud that like my side won. Like that's you're allowed to be proud that like your side won. I think if the other side won, there'd be a lot more gloating and like spiking of the football happening at this point. I'm happy he won. I was really more joyous about it than I expected to be. I wanted to go. I went and I posted about it over the last several days. And literally like not in any like over the top like extravagant fashion. I was just like documenting what was happening.
Yeah.
And today, and I think I probably by posting about it lost maybe a couple followers, maybe a couple. I'm not even sure. Today I posted the reel from the last episode where I explain why I'm going to the inauguration, which I went into a little bit more detail on today. And I know for a fact I definitely lost a lot more followers, probably about 10 or so on Instagram, which again, that doesn't bother me at all. But I actually believe I haven't lost many clients. I've lost, I think, 2 since I started, maybe 3 of my clients since the beginning of last year, so in over a year. And today I had one of my like legacy clients from like way back at the beginning of last year send me a 30-day cancellation. And I know that person is more left leaning. I believe like a very good relationship with that person. Yeah. And I'm, I would hope that wasn't the case. And I don't know for a fact that it was, but there's a part of me where it's like, I'm not trying. Do I want to be a public figure? Like, absolutely. Like, there's no doubt I do. Do I want to be a political like figure? Like, no. Like, I definitely don't. I don't want this. This is not a political podcast. Mm-hmm. But like I said, if something is like resonates with me, is important to me, if it's something that I'm personally like engaged with and like going to the inauguration, like I'm going to post about it. And like, I'm not going to hide like my beliefs or like what I think is true or what I think is right. I'm not saying anything that I said today is right. All I can tell you is that it's my truth. It's what I personally believe. And in the same way that I said, I'm not saying that you're wrong if you voted for Kamala. I just don't understand it. I just don't see that perspective. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around it. And you could feel the same way about what I'm saying and what I've said here today, or anybody that voted for Donald Trump. But like, you can't say that I'm wrong. It's just my opinion on things. And I find it, I hope that it wasn't because of that. I hope it was for like other reasons. The money component of it is like literally negligible. It was a legacy client. He wasn't paying all that much anyway, honestly. But when something like that happens, I have to, of course, and this just happened a couple hours ago. So is this thing like?
I think just the
TV maybe.
Yeah, I think the TV's going sleepy.
It just happened a couple hours ago, so I'm processing it right now, like on the podcast. We basically like chatted about it briefly on the walk, but then I have to ask myself, like, of course, I'm not saying I shouldn't have put it out. I'm putting this out right now, so like, I'm not regretful of putting it out. But the question like becomes, I don't know what the question becomes. It's like, how I don't want to be the person who won't say something that they believe on camera, on Instagram, in a podcast, because I'm afraid of A, certainly not losing followers, B, what somebody might think or see that I might lose a client, or somebody might not be interested in working with me as a result of my political beliefs. So it's just an interesting place to be. I asked for it by putting it out there. And of course, like anytime I put something polarizing out, I should expect some people to react a certain way to it. And I'm almost like not even upset that they did. I think for me, it's just, this is the first time where
your actions are...
yeah, I guess.
You're seeing like the result of your actions. It's like, again, you think it's, and again, it's like, it is okay for everyone to have different opinions. That's like why there's a democracy and we vote on different things and we have like these opposing ideas. But the political climate it is so extreme and it's so polar opposite that someone who just has a different opinion on a political stance is like, fuck this, I can't work with this person. Again, this is all assumption.
Yeah,
We're assuming this.
We don't know.
But that's just, it's something like, yes, you should take into account. But again, it's saying more about that person. And in the end, like, do you actually then therefore want to work with the person that has that kind of mentality?
Yeah. I mean...
Like... Because they also,
it's just sad. It's honestly, it's more just sad than anything, I think. And would I want to work with them? Yeah. Who's somebody that like, who's like a terrible, I genuinely think that like the Clintons have killed people. I believe that. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying that you have to believe that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that is my opinion. I know tons of people that voted for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And if they were somebody who I was like asking to provide a service to, I'm not going to like end my relationship with them because they voted for Hillary Clinton.
Exactly.
And I think that she literally has had people murdered.
Right. And that's, yeah, for sure. And like, yeah, we know plenty of people, family, friends that have voted for Hillary Clinton, but like, we don't hold that against them. We're just like,
exactly.
Oh yeah, that's your opinion. That's like what you have the right to vote and you voted the way you wanted to. And like, that has nothing really to do with me and my relationship with you. I want to continue my relationship with you.
But maybe
it's that that polar opposite of like this climate that has created a monster.
Maybe it's not the voting that's the problem. Maybe if I had just voted for Trump, it's a different story. But maybe because I'm being vocal about it and I'm like promoting Trump in some way, even like in some little way on this like tiny little baby podcast. I'm half joking. But maybe that has something to do with it. I don't really know. I haven't really processed it yet.
Yeah.
I just think it's worth pointing out because, again, my number one thing when I started this was the goal of this podcast is to be authentic. Mm-hmm. If I feel that way about the Trump victory and I went to the Trump inauguration, I don't want it is not my life. Politics is certainly not my life, nor do I want it to be. But it is playing a significant role in my life and in my feelings over the last couple months, and over the last couple days especially. And I'm sharing that and my opinions with an audience, which is like what I have signed up to do. Yeah. So it would be, again, A, disingenuous, and B, I said last time, it would be cowardly of me to not express my opinion and express my support, considering that I am so pumped about it. Mm-hmm. So,
and you're vocal about everything else. So if you weren't vocal about this and you're like, oh yeah, I voted for Trump, and like whisper talked it like amongst people, like, no, like you want to share it and that's okay.
And my ultimate thought is that just like Trump ended up winning through his authenticity, I believe that I will end up winning through my own authenticity. So, gotta take the good with the bad. Mm-hmm. And I really am not that upset about it. Really, I'm not. I'm kind of just cycling through my thoughts for the sake of the podcast and because it did just happen and because it's relevant to the conversation here today. There's a sliver of me that wants to be upset about it, little sliver of me that wants to be upset about it.
Your ego's in there saying, hey,
it's not like my ego, like beating my chest ego.
No,
it's
like
more
your
of like
hurt ego.
I'm that's what it is. Like it doesn't anger me. It does just make me feel like a little bit sad, a little bit hurt. Yeah. But I know that that's what the other person probably felt. They probably felt betrayed as well based on my opinions. So like I can't expect anything different. But yeah, there's a sliver of me that wants to feel like particularly bad about it. But the rest of me is like genuinely like, no, we're good. So we'll end with one more quick note, which is that was one L that I had today. And then if you're following along with the podcast, we were supposed to close on our Holly house technically tomorrow. Like, we were supposed to do the Ron signing tomorrow and then close on Friday. And about 3 hours ago, we got a call from our realtor saying that it got postponed.
Just for 2 weeks.
We did get more
advanced
earnest money as a result of it. But it is going to be postponed 2 weeks. So that's after, I don't know the last L I had, but we're going back probably a couple months, probably like till at least Thanksgiving, maybe a little bit before that.
Yeah. So
a long time since like I've had something not go my way. And today I had two little things go my way. I thought it was almost 3 because I saw that Prana, one of my favorite coffee shops. They said that we are going to be closed until further notice. I thought that meant that they were going out of business, so I texted their owner like, dude, is everything good? It turns out they'll be back in just a few days. That was almost 3 L's today.
And that would have been like the worst.
But even the postponement of the Holly House, like there's a part of me that like wants to like give it thoughts and emotions and energy and ruminate on it. And I'm just like, no, like I'm not gonna worry about it. It is all gonna happen. What?
It just is.
It just is. It is. It just is. So just wanted to give everybody that update. And I think like that goes to show, I started this episode by saying that I'm, not in the best energetic state. And it's because we were out late Friday night. We went to the Hestia Pershing collaboration, which was really good, really good. Fantastic food. Went with a friend, had a great time, but had a late night and woke up late Saturday. And then we had to like cram so much, including going to buy a coat on Saturday. Woke up crazy early on Sunday to get to the airport. Had a long day Sunday. Had a very long day Monday. I was at the ball. I didn't get home from the ball. I was showering after the ball at like 3 or 3:30.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to sleep till like 4. And then I had to wake up to catch my flight yesterday. So it's been a number of days. I'm feeling a little bit more tired than normal. Yeah. And even with all of that, and these 2 little hiccups, the one is an L. The one I'm going to chalk up as an L. The postponement, I'm not even going to say. It's just like an inconvenience more than anything. But even with all that, I still feel pretty good. I feel very good. So I'm going to go as far as to say like that demonstrates like I'm in a pretty good place.
You're giving yourself 2 thumbs up?
I'm giving myself 2 thumbs up mentally and emotionally right now. And hopefully you give this episode 2 thumbs up. Please like and subscribe or whatever.
Or comment.
Hour and a half. Okay, that was good. Solid. Was that okay?
Yeah.
You think so?
I enjoyed myself on that one.
Yeah, you had some fun. You had some fun letting it loose.
I had a wink.
I saw some poozle eyes coming out.
I was talking politics.
Some of those like crazy negative energy eyes happening when you were saying a few things, but it's all good. You're allowed to be authentic.
This is my authentic self.
That's your authentic self. Perfect.
If you want to talk politics,
all
be
right.
authentic.
God bless America. See ya.
Right by the wheel.